The hallway smelled of disinfectant, the kind that clings to your clothes long after you leave. An elderly man sat in his wheelchair by the window, staring out at nothing, his eyes glazed with the kind of emptiness that only comes from years of waiting for someone who never shows. His name could be John or Frank or David. It doesn't matter because his story isn't unique. It's the story of millions of seniors around the world who thought moving into a nursing home would give them safety and comfort. Instead, they found something else: regret. Behind the polished brochures and carefully staged photos, nursing homes are part of a trillion-dollar global industry, an industry that profits off the slow decline of the elderly. They promise care, but too often deliver strict schedules, overmedication, loneliness, and hidden fees that drain life savings. This is why I must warn you. In this video, we're exposing the 6 hard truths about nursing homes you must know before it's too late. And when we get to number 1, you'll hear the most shocking trap of all: a hidden financial nightmare that has destroyed families, stripped dignity, and left countless seniors in despair. Every source and scientific reference I mention is already waiting for you in the description, so you can fact-check it yourself and see the evidence with your own eyes. Before we dive in, here's a quick question. Where are you watching from? And at what age do you think is too early to move into a nursing home? I'd love to hear your thoughts. We're reading through the comments like letters from a community. Your story could be the one that gives another viewer clarity tonight. Now, without any further ado, let's start with number 6, and why it's the first thing most seniors regret after moving into a nursing home. Number 6. Loss of independence. The first truth seniors face when moving into a nursing home is how quickly independence disappears. At home, even small choices, what time to eat breakfast, when to shower, whether to sit outside, are yours to make. Those little freedoms are what make life feel like your own. In a nursing home, those freedoms are replaced by schedules designed for staff efficiency, not resident comfort. On paper, it looks organized. In reality, it can feel like being stripped of your identity. A 2019 study published in Health Services Research found that seniors who lost decision-making power in daily routines were 3 times more likely to develop symptoms of depression within 6 months. The brain thrives on autonomy. When choice is removed, the mind and body react with stress. Cortisol, the stress hormone, rises, sleep suffers, immunity weakens, and even blood pressure climbs. It's not just an emotional loss. It's a biological chain reaction that accelerates decline. Imagine the first morning after moving in. The door opens, the lights flip on at 6:30 a.m. A staff member cheerfully announces it's time for breakfast. At home, Clara would have been on her porch, sipping tea and watching the sun rise at her own pace. But here, she is rushed to the dining hall, her day dictated by someone else's checklist. Within weeks, that spark of routine she cherished is gone, replaced by fatigue, resignation, and a quiet sense of invisibility. It doesn't feel dramatic in the moment. A schedule here, a rule there. But over time, seniors begin to stop making choices altogether. When you're told when to wake, when to eat, when to take medication, when to sleep, your independence slips away piece by piece. And the heartbreaking truth is that once the habit of making choices disappears, the drive to live fully often fades with it. The loss of independence is one of the first regrets seniors whisper about behind closed doors. It's not just about missing freedom. It's about missing the feeling of being in control of their own life. And once that realization sinks in, the weight of loneliness becomes even harder to bear. Number 5. Strict daily schedules. One of the hardest truths about nursing homes is how every day gets locked into a rigid routine. Meals at the same time, activities at the same time, medications at the same time, lights out at the same time. On paper, it looks efficient. To administrators, it keeps things orderly. But for seniors who have spent a lifetime deciding their own rhythm, it feels less like care and more like losing freedom one clock tick at a time. Research backs it up. A 2021 study in The Gerontologist found that seniors forced into strict institutional schedules were 42% more likely to report high stress levels compared to those in flexible assisted living environments. Stress hormones like cortisol spike when routines are imposed, and that surge doesn't just make someone irritable. It damages sleep, weakens immunity, and increases the risk of chronic disease. A schedule might make sense for staff, but it silently chips away at health for residents. You can almost picture it like a scene from a film. The overhead lights flick on at 6 o'clock a.m. sharp, a staff member's voice announcing breakfast at 7 o'clock. One resident, still half asleep, mutters, "I used to sleep in until 9." But there's no room for negotiation. By mid-morning, the entire wing has been marched through meals, meds, and activities, whether they wanted them or not. The routine doesn't adapt to the residents. Residents are forced to adapt to the routine. The real danger is subtle. A strict schedule erodes individuality. You stop being a person with preferences. You become a task to be managed. That might sound small, but it has big consequences. Over time, this strips away motivation, drains energy, and even erases identity. Seniors stop initiating conversations, stop pursuing hobbies, stop caring about what comes next, because every decision has already been made for them. For older adults who need purpose and flexibility to stay strong, that kind of loss is devastating. It's no wonder many residents describe the schedule as feeling like living by someone else's clock. And that slow suffocation of daily freedom leads directly into the next hard truth. Because if routines can quietly crush individuality, loneliness can just as quietly steal the will to live. Number 4. Overmedication risks. Another painful truth inside nursing homes is the silent problem of overmedication. Seniors are often prescribed multiple drugs at once: blood pressure pills, sleep aids, pain relievers, antidepressants. On their own, each might make sense, but together, they can create dangerous interactions that overwhelm the liver, fog the brain, and increase the risk of falls. Instead of exploring the root causes of issues like restlessness, anxiety, or agitation, facilities sometimes take the shortcut, adding another pill. It's faster, cheaper, and easier than offering personalized care, but it comes at a devastating cost to the resident. The statistics are shocking. According to a 2018 report from the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, nearly 40% of nursing home residents were prescribed antipsychotic drugs without a clear medical diagnosis. These medications weren't being used for legitimate treatment. They were being used for control. The consequences of this chemical restraint include confusion, muscle weakness, reduced mobility, and an increased risk of premature death. For seniors who already have fragile health, that extra pill can be the difference between stability and decline. Picture the scene. The dining hall is dimly lit in the late evening. A nurse sets down a tiny paper cup with another pill on top of a resident's tray. The resident frowns and asks, softly, "What's this one for?" The nurse smiles politely and says, "It will help you sleep." By morning, she isn't herself, groggy, unsteady, unable to join her favorite activity. The medication dulled her symptoms, yes, but it also dulled her spirit. The danger is that overmedication doesn't always look obvious. Families visiting for an hour may just assume their loved one is slowing down or showing their age. They see tiredness, confusion, or frailty and think it's natural. In reality, it might be the haze of unnecessary drugs clouding their health. Overmedication quietly transforms vibrant seniors into shadows of themselves, not because their time has come, but because their bodies are overloaded with chemicals they didn't truly need. This silent crisis is why so many seniors regret moving into nursing homes. Their decline isn't always from age. It's often from the system meant to protect them. And if overmedication is invisible, the next truth is far more visible and just as heartbreaking. The food served to residents, day after day, is often the very thing accelerating their decline. But before we continue, if you have been enjoying the video so far, hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you don't miss more videos like this. Number 3. Limited privacy. Privacy is something we take for granted. Closing a bedroom door, choosing when to be alone, or even deciding who enters our space. It's more than a luxury. It's a marker of dignity, a reminder that we are in control of our own lives. In nursing homes, that dignity often disappears overnight. Doors stay unlocked for staff access. Many residents are assigned roommates in cramped quarters where whispers and late-night coughing replace silence. Staff members enter without warning, and residents are interrupted at any time. What feels like routine to employees can feel humiliating to seniors. The mental health consequences are enormous. A 2017 study in aging and mental health found that seniors living in low privacy, shared environments were twice as likely to experience anxiety and depression compared to those with private or semi-private living spaces. When a person's personal space is constantly invaded, the message is clear. You're no longer trusted to be in charge of your own boundaries. This subtle erosion of autonomy chips away at self-worth and identity. You can picture the scene. A frail hand reaches for the bathroom door to lock it, hoping for just a few minutes of solitude. But the lock has been removed. Moments later, a staff member pushes the door open without knocking. The resident looks down, too tired to protest, but inside, there's a silent ache. They know they've lost one of the most basic human rights, the right to be left alone. For seniors who have spent decades living independently, closing their bedroom doors, deciding when to rest, when to speak, and when to retreat, the shift is jarring. Suddenly, they are no longer treated as adults with needs and privacy, but as dependents whose choices no longer matter. Over time, this doesn't just bruise pride, it reshapes personality. Seniors begin to withdraw, speak less, and lose confidence. Some even stop advocating for themselves because they no longer expect their wishes to be respected. The tragedy is that privacy is tied directly to identity. Without it, residents often feel exposed, vulnerable, and stripped of individuality. A private moment to read, to pray, to sit in silence. These are not luxuries. They are necessities for the human spirit. Remove them, and even the strongest personalities begin to fade. And if losing privacy steals dignity, the next truth is just as crushing, because it does affect the mind. Number 2, emotional loneliness. Loneliness inside nursing homes isn't just about being physically alone. It's something deeper, an emptiness that creeps in when you feel forgotten, disconnected, or invisible, even when there are people all around you. Residents might sit side by side in crowded dining halls, but conversations are brief, distracted, or absent altogether. Staff hurry past on tight schedules, too busy to linger for more than a polite hello. Families, who once promised to visit often, arrive less and less. And as the weeks stretch into months, the silence grows heavier. Emotional loneliness in nursing homes isn't just sad, it's deadly. Science is clear about its dangers. According to the National Institute on Aging, chronic loneliness raises the risk of premature death by 45%, making it just as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. That comparison is shocking but important because loneliness doesn't leave scars you can see. It works in silence. Without human connection, the brain begins to produce fewer feel-good chemicals like dopamine and serotonin. Instead, stress hormones like cortisol take over, disrupting sleep, inflaming the body, and accelerating memory loss. The liver, heart, and immune system all suffer quietly under the weight of isolation. You can imagine the scene. The common room is filled with chairs, a television murmuring in the background, and the low hum of distant footsteps. A resident stares at the floor and whispers softly, "Nobody knows me here." She is surrounded by people, yet she feels utterly unseen. That single sentence captures the invisible crisis many seniors endure every day, living in company but carrying the burden of solitude. Over time, emotional loneliness doesn't just weigh on the heart, it drains the will to live. Seniors who feel forgotten lose interest in hobbies, stop attending group activities, and push away their plates at mealtime. Appetite fades, energy collapses, and withdrawal sets in. To outsiders, it might look like normal aging, but inside, it's the crushing weight of being emotionally abandoned in a place meant to provide care. Loneliness steals years as surely as any disease. It breaks down the mind, weakens the body, and leaves behind a hollow shadow of the person who first walked through the door. And if loneliness feels devastating, the hardest truth is still ahead. The number one reason seniors regret moving into a nursing home. Number 1. High costs with hidden fees. The final and most devastating truth about nursing homes isn't just about health, it's about money. Moving into a facility often feels like buying security. Families sign contracts believing the monthly fee covers everything: room, meals, care, and peace of mind. But behind the glossy brochures and polished promises, hidden costs pile up. Extra charges appear for medications, special meals, assistance with daily hygiene, laundry, or even transportation to a doctor's appointment. What begins as a predictable monthly bill can balloon into something unmanageable, draining savings that took an entire lifetime to build. The numbers are staggering. According to the Genworth Cost of Care Survey 2023, the average cost of a private room in a U.S. nursing home exceeds $100,000 per year. And that's before add-ons. Seniors and their families are often blindsided by hundreds, or even thousands, of dollars in unexpected charges every month. For retirees on fixed incomes, this isn't just inconvenient, it's terrifying. Financial stress in old age has been linked to higher blood pressure, weaker immunity, and even a greater risk of stroke, according to a 2019 study in Journal of Aging and Health. Money problems don't just hurt the wallet, they damage the body. You can almost see it unfold. A retired couple, proud of having saved carefully, sells their home to fund the first few years of nursing care. At first, everything seems manageable. Then, bills arrive labeled special dietary services, extended medication handling, and hygiene support beyond standard care. Each charge looks small on its own, but together they carve chunks out of savings every month. By the end of the first year, their careful planning has crumbled. The cost of care is far beyond what they were led to believe, and now they face the impossible choice of cutting back on necessities or relying on their children for financial rescue. This is why high costs with hidden fees sit at the very top of the list. The stress doesn't just hurt bank accounts, it shatters peace of mind. Seniors who should be enjoying retirement find themselves trapped in fear of running out of money, of losing access to care, of becoming a burden. That financial anxiety weighs as heavily as any medical diagnosis. It steals sleep, raises blood pressure, and leaves once independent seniors feeling powerless. When you stack this crushing financial burden on top of all the other truths, loss of independence, rigid schedules, overmedication, lack of privacy, and the loneliness that suffocates the human spirit, it's no wonder so many seniors whispered the same haunting words: "I regret moving into a nursing home." So now you've seen the 6 hard truths of nursing homes: the loss of independence, the strict schedules, the overmedication, the lack of privacy, the emotional loneliness, and the crushing financial burden that no brochure ever warns you about. On the surface, these places are sold as safe havens, but behind the polished tours and smiling staff, many seniors find regret, decline, and a sense of life slipping away faster than it should. The hardest part: most families don't see it coming. They believe moving a loved one into a nursing home is an act of protection. But studies, stories, and lived experiences reveal another reality. These facilities can quietly break down both the body and the spirit. That's why so many residents end up saying, "If I could do it again, I'd never move here." But there's hope. Awareness is the first step. When you know the risks, you can prepare, ask questions, demand transparency, and explore alternatives. Seniors deserve dignity, respect, and independence in their final chapters, not regret. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you or someone in your family experienced the hidden side of nursing homes? Were there surprises, good or bad, that nobody warned you about? Share your story in the comments. We're reading them all because your experience might help another family avoid heartbreak. If this video opened your eyes, hit the subscribe button and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth. Because protecting seniors isn't just about adding years to life, it's about adding life to the years we still have. If you have any questions or want to share your own experiences, feel free to leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.